I mean, especially if they playing the Lakers. You know, I'm going with.
Is it the Lakers or LeBron?
I'm a Laker fan.
Okay.
And it's funny you asked that. I'll go ahead and mention it. I'm really not a LeBron fan. I never was. You know, from Cleveland to Miami to the decision to this. But when he joined my squad, I accepted LeBron. You know, I wouldn't necessarily say I called myself a fan. I accepted LeBron because he was in the purple and gold. So when you put on the purple and gold, baby, we got to root for you.
I can't root against. The only time I've ever rooted against LeBron James is when he played against the Mavericks. That's the only time I ever rooted against him because the dude had done so much out the court.
Well, I'll tell you this when you see, and I said I wasn't going to be here long because I got some errands to run, but I'll tell you this. Being in Dallas and proximity for me, living less than a quarter of a mile away from the Maverick Stadium, when I go to the games, I literally walk from my apartment. Literally. I've grown to like the Mavericks, you know.
Yeah.
Think they're pretty, you know, they're a lot of fun to watch. And with the addition of Kyrie, initially, it sounded like it was going to be a good deal until it wasn't. You know, now they went from, you know, from first to worst.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but look at it. Who they throwing the ball to? They ain't throwing the ball to Dinwiddie. They throwing the ball to Josh Green and them folks.
Well, no, I mean, if you look at, and you know, as fans, we watch the game. As coaches, they break it down. And a lot of the things that's been happening with these guys is, if you look at Luka is ball dominant.
Yeah.
Okay. He's in the backcourt, and I think he's out of position. Just because you can do it don't necessarily mean you should do it. And when Kyrie brings the ball up the court, and when Kyrie runs the offense, it's a whole different situation. But we all know whose team that is.
Oh yeah.
And so I think that plays a factor in it. And when you factor in two superstars who both ball dominant, and when one don't know how to play off the other one, this is the result that you get, because you can't take nothing away from Kyrie. We know what he can do.
Well, I know you got a lot going on. It's the all-white party. You know, you probably would scare the dickens out of you if I showed up. So
no, man, you know, we
I'm out of my element.
We need the Lord in there. You know, especially with all the white on, the angels might come.
Y'all need the Lord after the fact. Y'all need to come after the party.
You know. Hey, we doing it at the airport for a reason, man. Just in case something happens, I can fly over right about it.
Hey, look, before you go, you're Baylor alumni. I got Graham Man, the owner of the station here. Graham Man, you Baylor alumni. I love the Kim Monkey billboard. They already got the other billboard. I'm like, to me, this is just my opinion, because you know we didn't want to see Kim go.
Right.
You know what I said? That billboard, that's Kim Monkey's No Vaseline to Baylor.
Yeah, that's her hit 'em up, so to speak. That's her No Vaseline. That's her Dre Day. That's her whole comeback, you know, to what it is. But I think, you know, she said it after the fact it came out of her mouth that I don't think it's ironic that I went to Louisiana to make my school win, but I brought them back to Texas to do it an hour and a half from Baylor University.
You know, I'm going to tell you this. I know Kim, know where she live, all that kind of business. She going to be here in 2 weeks. I'm going to beg, please come to the station and tell us how you really feel.
I mean, listen, man. Baylor has not handled a lot of situations. We can go back to the Art Brown situation.
Yeah.
That was definitely mishandled. You know, something happened and they had to place the blame somewhere to protect the shield of the university, so to speak. And when they did that, I mean, I think it was the start of the demise in sports. And then, you know, the cry was women's basketball wasn't making any money.
Yeah.
That's what the cry was. So when she started making demands, hey, I want my name on the court. I think she was well within her right, because she's brought something to the university in the history of the university since 1845 that hasn't been there. But here's the ironic part, and this is why people say give people their flowers while they're living. Had Kilmoky died, that court would have been named after her.
Oh yeah. Well, get your Laker gear out of my face.
I know.
Get that Laker gold out of my face.
Yeah.
Hey, we got the Right Reverend. This is Bishop Geoffrey Stirrup.
How you doing? Nice to meet you.
And Pastor LeRoy Gillis here. Today we're going to have a chit chat about the church and sports.
Amen.
The role church plays in sports. So y'all have a seat, young men. Gillis, don't be hiding. Don't be hiding.
Stephanie Hendrix is going to be here shortly also. You know, she's the coach and she is over the youth department, works with youth, so she's going to have a lot to say, a lot to give to this also.
Oh yeah, you got the camera hooked up good right there. Hey, look, well, first of all, man, it's an honor and a privilege to have you guys here today. Gillis is doing a outstanding job with the Sports Network.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be one of those color analysts for the men's basketball game. I did it one time, so I'm trying to get in. Trying to get in, you know.
Stimpson is multi-talented. I remember when he was building his church, and my wife and I, we drove down here just to tell him how proud we were of him to just build a church from the ground up. I was just so moved by that, and his wife, we drove up, and him and his wife was in that church working, getting things together, and he's been a mover and shaking.
Well, we're not going to talk about me in the church right now.
All right.
This is Pastor C on Sunday over there at 94.5.
Right.
It's Mr. C right here.
Okay.
While we're waiting on the other guests to come in, NIL is killing our school, baby. Did you see Gillis? I know you keep up with this. LJ Cryer, the guard, turned around and got in the transfer portal Monday. He got in the transfer portal Monday. Here's just the top schools that you know through the hook to him: Kansas State, Texas, Houston, Gonzaga, Purdue, and Indiana. And then I talked to him. They got 5 guys off the basketball team jumped in the transfer portal. And the football team got 7 starters that jumped off into the transfer portal. And I asked somebody that would know, and he said, "Man, I'm gonna tell you, the thing that's getting us is NIL."
Hey, listen, my daughter played D1 basketball, played at Tennessee Tech. NIL wasn't in at that time. I wish it was. When my daughter played basketball, we'd go in restaurants, they'd have pictures of her, they knew her name, we'd go to places, they knew her name. It was a small town in Tennessee Tech, but it was a D1 school, and in areas like that, they have big D1 schools, but the town is small, and that's the show in those small towns, and they use those athletes to help their businesses, and they're not getting a dime of it. So I'm really a fan of
They should back pay some of that.
Yeah.
Mr. C, the NIL, I guess it's hurting some of your smaller market teams. I was looking at something yesterday. I think one of the highest players right now is the quarterback that came from Oklahoma that's at USC now.
Yeah.
The Sanders kid is on that top 5 list, and the young lady from LSU has moved up on that list, and so it makes it more challenging.
She's number 1 now.
She could be.
Yeah.
She could be. She could be.
To Bayou Barbie.
Yeah. I think she's number 1 on that list.
And so it's making it more challenging for some of the smaller market teams, but that's going to drive them to be more creative, because the problem is for you to make money off the backs of these players and then tell them they can't make money it's not equitable, you know. And so you making like millions of dollars, and you tell a kid he can't go to Foot Locker and sign a jersey with his name on the back of it, you know. So that doesn't make sense. So you know, it's just not something that was sustainable. And so now these smaller market schools like Baylor, they got to find a way.
Now somebody, you know, Waco quick to say, well, Baylor got money. Yeah, they do, but they don't spend it on these athletes.
No.
They spend it on athletes. And somebody, my debate last week over this with somebody on the phone was, they got a scholarship for free education. Let me tell you something. The science club and the science team don't fill up McLean Stadium.
Right.
They don't fill up. They making money. They make more money off one football game than they will a whole season off women's basketball.
And then I don't think they even realize the pressure that's on these athletes. When they get those scholarships, they tell those coaches, they tell those players, this is only good for a year. They don't know how they talk to those athletes sometimes, and those scholarships have to be renewed every year. I know they say it's a 4-year scholarship, but they threaten those players while they're playing and say, well, you may not be back next year. They don't realize how those big D1 schools talk to those players. Now some power has come to those players. Hey, I may be leaving next year. I don't want to be here 4 years. They're looking out for themselves. So it was a game that they used to play with those players with those so-called 4-year scholarships. They really weren't 4-year scholarships sometimes.
Well, maybe not a 4-year scholarship, but that was for people like me.
Yeah.
Don't come back. Security go get you if you come near the.
Yeah. But it wasn't just you. It happens to a lot of those players at the big schools. They would be looking for other players to take their spot, and those spots weren't secure. But I also heard about it's made it tough now for the classes that are coming in as freshmen, because teams now are recruiting the more experienced 3rd-year, 4-year players to play on their team instead of that 5-star freshman that's coming in, because they know they're not going to have the experience of someone that's transferring from Duke or someone. That's the person that they're looking to take that point guard spot or that wing player now instead of that 5-star recruit that's coming in.
Everybody trying to whin now.
Trying to win right now.
If I can pay a Gillis boy to come in here and flip my program in a year. University of Texas, look where they were. They had about 4 people starting there. Came from. You'll get a new team every year, just about. And Coach Gill over there at MCC, he say you have to recruit 10 people every year in JUCO because they not staying. And if they any good, people coming to get them.
Right.
But the reason why you guys we having this talk is because we all are pastors, and you as a bishop, your responsibilities and all the things. Of course, your kids play sports. You play sports. The church and sports. There was a time when they didn't want you playing sports. You couldn't watch TV. The church has transitioned away from a lot of that. But when I look at sports, and then I'm gonna just let you guys share. When I look at sports, one thing I say about sports, it unites people in a massive way. When Argentina won the World Cup, they had, if you saw that parade, they had a helicopter to the team because there's 1 million people out there cheering. And it didn't matter if they were Democrat, Republicans, LGBT, XYZ. They were all united because of they rallied behind that team. And I wish that the church could have the same impact as sports can. And what do you think? How do you guys feel about that?
Pastor Stimson, I was thinking about the metaphor Paul would use about running a race, and so he was using a sports metaphor for that day, for that time. He was tapping in to the gladiators, the Romans of that day, how they were very much into sports during that time. So he tapped into that, he related to that, and we still have a culture and a generation today. And anyone that's pastoring the church today, they know AAU is pulling our kids out of church
on Sundays.
On Sundays, I remember when my daughter started playing. I stressed to her, hey, I tell coach, hey, she don't play on Sunday. She can't play on Sunday. But they started working where she would come in after church. They'd be ready for her. They'd pick her up from church. They'd be waiting for her. If she played basketball, she also played volleyball. But if you can have one player that can make a difference on the team, so a kid can be seen to go further in the finals. So the AAU churches, to reach our youth, we need to be thinking about how we can involve sports in our programs, in our church programs, things that we're doing. We had a meeting today, and I was talking about focusing on young people and being intentional about working with our young people. Young people, you got to keep them tired. They need young people. They got energy. They got energy. So you just can't tell them you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. You got to replace it with something that's good and healthy. Sports is one of those things.
Well, you know the way I looked at it everybody in my house plays sports.
Yeah.
My daughters were better athletes than the boys were, but they played sports, and I coached them from little dribblers, and I say, as long as it ain't on a church night,
Yeah.
I say we would practice on non-church nights because I'm from the old school, and then we had games. You know, you didn't have them Sunday games, you had them Saturday games, and then I always, as I started pastoring, I started understanding. Now I want y'all to play the music. I want y'all on the drums. I want y'all to sing.
Yeah.
I want y'all to be actively involved in church. And I say, hey, look, I'm involved with your sports. I'm the one buying the Jordans. I'm
Right.
the one. So we go work together on this. And I could be wrong, but I always tell people at church, if your child is gonna be a part of something, you need to be there. If they in the band, if they're in the science club, the reading club, whatever activity your child is a part of, you need to support them. And what I do is, once we got kids that play sports, I'm gonna go watch some of the games. Me and the brothers say, let's go look at old little Junior then.
Yeah.
And then by the same token, they'll come back and be a part of what we're doing. Believe it or not, this young man like that, we would go watch him play, and he was all right, you know, and it's raining, and we needed to make sure the church yard got mowed. And I rode by there today, and he's mowing the yard in the rain. And I was like, oh wow, what loyalty. But I said, maybe that started by me, you know, catching that football with him and stuff.
But
Invested.
you know what, Pastor Simpson, I noticed a culture also from teaching school that the Baptist organization was kind of like the biggest church organization in our city. But I noticed on Wednesdays, that was the Bible study night for most Baptist organizations. Teachers would be running out of there to go to Bible study at 6 o'clock. But sports will be played on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays.
That's
but
right.
they were catering to Wednesday night. That's when we have Bible study. So all across the city, pretty much in San Antonio, there was no sports being played. People were in Bible studies. But you know, in our organization, we were trying to have church 5 days a week or whatever. But that was the night for Bible study. But they were at their kids' sports, their games on the other nights, and the school system they were catering to that culture, so that parents could be at church and also could be at the games that their kids played in.
Okay, so am I wrong as a pastor? Once your kids and you got all your kids playing on Tuesdays, I'm having youth meeting on Tuesday.
Right.
Am I wrong if I change to Wednesday? Would we? I'm asking.
I think that the church has some flexibility, and I've had to move stuff around for different sports activities because there's got to be a partnership somewhere here. You're not fixing to take sports out. It's in. That horse is out of the barn. So we can either bury our heads and just say we're going to fight it, and who suffers? Your youth, those young people suffer. So that's nothing biblical that you were breaking, or I'm breaking by changing that date, and we can move around to kind of. There's got to be a partnership. Y'all were talking about quotes. Michael Jordan said that talent wins games, but teamwork wins championships. And so we're all invested in these young people. So we could move sometimes, but I do like it, as Bishop said, when the schools are making a sacrifice. To me, that honors God. I mean, you know, so and
exactly.
we're gonna move our stuff around for Wednesday night. But I don't say this, Mr. C. Sometimes some AAU coaches, because it's not necessarily the organization, may go too far.
Yeah.
They want all the time, and that's not a partnership. That's you telling the church, now we got a problem.
Yeah, because a lot of the AAU trainers, they make money. They charge you to train. They charging. I had to tell my daughter, I said, look, she don't need to be training 5 days a week. I said, you learn how to play basketball by playing basketball.
Right.
You know, I can show her moves, and because I was short, I always had to shoot over taller people.
Well, it's not all about we need to take away this not all about going to the NBA, going to the NFL,
Yeah.
playing pro ball. This is an activity that's good for you to be involved in. It's going to teach you a lot of life lessons. It's so many life lessons today that help me from playing sports. I had to learn how to kind of talk to men because I came up in a neighborhood where you played sports, they were constantly cutting on you, constantly on you, but they really just trying to motivate you to do better. But everybody that don't work with them by constantly, oh man, you can't play, oh man, you can't shoot, oh man, that wasn't nothing, whatever. But that would motivate me to do better. Really, they wanted me to do better. But someone that's not really brought up in that, like trash talk, what's going on now, that's part of it.
Yeah.
But sometimes if you've been in that environment, you got to be careful about how you talk to men, how you deal with people. But sports, it can help you, make you be thick-skinned.
Yeah.
It can help you take criticism and realize that, hey, they're not trying to hurt your feelings, they're trying to make you better. It can teach you some things about teamwork and sacrificing and finding your role for the goal of a team. It's a team effort. So there's so many things you can learn about playing sports, but now I think sometimes we put too much emphasis on going to the NBA, going to the NFL, making a whole bunch of money. But there's so many lessons that our children can learn by being involved in sports.
Oh yeah, and raising, I was a single parent there for years, and raising boys.
Yeah.
The thing that helped me was they play sports.
Mm-hmm.
So like once they got to playing football, if the coach say y'all go home, go sleep at 9 o'clock, got a game tomorrow.
Yeah.
Fuck you up. If I tell them you turn the TV off, but it's like with even those lessons go on later in life.
Right.
My daughter was starting point guard on state championships, 5'18", and she was 10th grade. And she was just phenomenal. So after all them years of me buying her Jordans and all of that, after they won that state championship, I knew she said, I'm gonna be a cheerleader. So.
But see, that's another thing. I wish it didn't cost so much today to play certain sports.
Yeah.
Coming up as a child, it didn't used to cost us a lot of money to play football, to play basketball, to be on a baseball team. It costs a lot of money now just to play sports.
Now, there's scholarships that we're trying to share with African American parents.
Yeah.
Your son might not be good in football or basketball, but they give pickleball scholarships, rowing scholarships. I never heard of pickleball. I had to go back. MCC give dance squad, pep squad scholarships.
You bring up a great point.
It's all of those sports band scholarships.
We focus on some of the major sports, but there's some other things we could be introducing our children to when they're very young that they're getting scholarships for that we're not, even especially as African Americans, we're not even introducing our kids to that, but they will have probably a natural talent for, a gift for that we don't even realize.
My son say best dressed award goes to Bishop Stirrup. That brother's so smooth, he walked through the rain and didn't get wet. I just don't understand.
Oh man.
Hey, but you know what? My wife told me how to pronounce the word. It's ancillary. I just done this. Ancillary.
Yeah.
Ancillary
Smart lady.
activities.
Mm-hmm.
She got done one time. She got tricked one time. Ancillary activities, sports related. It's like making money. You have a sports network.
Yes.
It's gonna blow up. He's the Black Ted Turner. That's what I call him. It's things. There's so many other things you like.
What
being
we're
around
doing
sports.
right now, being around covering sports, being around sports, our children have a knack for that and having an eye. And having our children around sports can open up so many avenues. They don't have to be out there actually playing it, but they can just get a knowledge of it by playing it, getting a knowledge of it.
And I didn't, I've always, my wife said I got a problem with obesity. I say I have a problem with obese young people that sit around the house. We didn't have that.
Yes.
All our kids played. And my daughter, she gained a lot of weight. and she was frustrated coming out of the pandemic. And she said, Dad, I'm gonna get me a belly, what they call it, liposuction or whatever. I'm gonna do this, do that. And she said, I'm trying so hard, and she got frustrated. And I say, you know, I'm the how do you say it? I'm the life coach for my kids. I say, look, I saw you are a D1 athlete growing up. What you mean you can't lose weight? You know how you used to work? I say, don't take a pill, don't take nothing. Just get out there and work out like you used to do. And I say, it'd be a life change. Man, she lost 65 pounds. And she started playing flag football in a co-ed flag football league, and she's so proud of herself because it ramped her self-esteem up. And I just think athletes, they really, unless they're injured, look at you, you ain't never let yourself go.
But see, that goes back to the culture that we're in now. We're in the technology culture, and people are on their phones, and people are in front of computers, and children are growing up. Instead of playing the sports, they're playing it on their phone. The church, I think, can help their families. This is a message I think we need to help our parents about raising children in this generation. Children need to be outside. Children need to play. Children need to be growing up and not just adopt this culture of giving them a cell phone at when they're 3 years old, and you never bought them some skates. And do they have skates anymore? Or they're going outside and play and running around and getting addicted. I'm begging, can I go outside? Can I go outside? Do kids still do that? I want to go outside. Got to make them come in the house. That has kind of changed now, and we need to really talk to parents about, and the church needs to work with parents now about bringing up a generation that likes to play and go outside.
A healthy generation.
Yeah, but even in the school system, the PE is not what it used to be, and we need to, you know, in elementary school going out playing, and even in middle school dressing out.
I think in school
It used to be mandatory to dress out.
I don't know how it is in San Antonio, but school up here, they trying to keep kids from getting shot. They don't want all of them outside.
You don't want them outside.
You know, the crowd control now.
I understand. I got you.
I think it's got to be some kind of balance, Mr. C. To go outside or to do an activity now, it has to be in the format of an AAU.
Yeah.
You don't have to have. You got NBA players. It used to be that never played in an AAU league.
Yeah.
You got NFL players that never started playing football till high school, but they played football. They played outside. They played at parks. You got all, you can develop so many things. Now everything has to be so serious. We got to be, because we put our future on athletics.
Yeah.
Our kids, we got too many kids that the way I make it is through athletics. It's all, as Richard said, it's all kind of scholarships. Now, where the system is getting upset is some of the game is being released. So players now are starting to see, wait a minute, I got influence. Influence is worth money. And it used to be the NCAA got all of the money.
Yeah.
Now players are starting to see more of the game. To produce a football game, it's all kinds of money being made all around it. But we put all of our emphasis on who's going to be inside the lines. Well, you got people like, I know, is it Kimball? That's a referee.
Yeah, Key Kimball.
NCAA referee.
5 consecutive Final Fours and 2 consecutive national championships.
Right there in Waco, Texas, right? So you got the guys, you got the media production side, you got guys like you that are calling, you got all kinds of money being made, and so the game is showing our young people that because the NFL has 32 teams, 50 players, it's about 1,600 guys.
Well, if you count the Texans, which
okay, all right, okay, all right, touche. They did finish below the Cowboys this year, so I'll let you. So you only got 1,600 athletes that are going to get paid, and the NBA has 30-some teams, 12 players a team. So you got a real small number, but we got millions of kids.
Yeah.
Every day trying to get to the same place, but it's all kind of money being made.
It's a production.
It's a production.
The football game is a production.
It's all
I know people that have made 6 digits getting catering contracts.
How about that?
You know, they selling the hot dogs and chili dogs and nachos. Hey, if I could get in there, they had the Maverick place making that money. Say, well, hey, let's get in there. That's where the people are. And I look at as just as men, especially as black men, having to father more than our children.
Yeah.
I look at Harold Jackson, Big Harold Jackson, probably the biggest man in church. He about 6'7". His sons are like Adrian Peterson's, and they won back-to-back state championships. The year before last, one his son won the MVP and the state championship. The other one won this year. Well, those boys, they come to church and they move with their mother, but they're at church all the time, and they were here. And he makes sure they're gonna be in church. And the one, Malcolm, he won the state championship that I think they played that Saturday. That Sunday he was at church.
Wow.
We celebrated him and let him do the prayer.
Yeah.
Okay, now this year, Jared, they came to Sunday. They said, Dad, we need to go to church before the game. And he came to church before the game. He came to church before the game, the week before the game, and he turns around and he says, Pastor, I want you to pray for me. I want you to pray for me before the game. We're not going to wait till after the game. I want you to pray for me before the game. They went down there and won the championship, and he won the MVP. Well, and those boys understand that I want to be a part of a church, that God empowers me.
Right.
That my strength comes from God. I didn't, even though you work out and lift weights and do all of that, you know, it's God's endorsement that bless you with that talent. Athletic ability is not just something, I don't care. I had the heart of a lion, but I had the size of a chihuahua. I couldn't jump high, but I could hit folk when I got close to them. But by the same token, God gives some people like a Deion Sanders, everybody can't beat 4'140.
Yeah.
I don't care how hard you work, you're not gonna get that. So
But we were talking about the other different avenues in sports, and Stephanie, as a daughter, tell us about your daughter, where she works now.
hey, introduce
in sports.
CBS Sports Radio Central Texas to who this beautiful lady is. That's old Red with you, ain't it? Red with you.
Red is with me. And good afternoon, everybody. We were locked up in some kind of Waco traffic today, but anyway, I'm Stephanie Hendrix from Waller, Texas. Put that on the map. But my daughter is Morgan Hendrix. She works for ESPN. She's in Connecticut, and a phenomenal young lady. Of course, I got to put a shout out to my other daughter who's in DC at Howard University. But yeah, she even played basketball when she was in high school, and just the work that God has blessed her with, and has just given her the opportunities to do some things. We're hoping Bomani Jones was one of my students.
I told my wife that she didn't believe it.
Yeah.
I say that's one of Stephanie's students.
Yeah, he was a student of mine, freshman biology, Waller High School, and she's trying to get connected with him, hopefully, maybe one day. But just moving forward with the things that God has blessed them with, and I was listening to you talking about, you know, having ability or having desire versus ability, and to do what God wants you to do, you can have the desire, and I believe God can work with the desire that you have. But if it's something that's to take you forward, to move you to another level, not only will He give you the desire, He'll also give you the ability to be able to do that as well.
Well, God showed know what He was doing. He showed He didn't want to give me no 4'140 speed. I might have been running from the police.
Yeah.
Instead of football.
You ever see what, you know, you've been making that statement, Superintendent Stimson.
It's Mr. C, it's Superintendent on
Right,
Sunday.
okay, I'm just so
on
used
Inspiration
to
of Sunday.
Mr. C. Our children don't have to leave the church because they're involved in sports.
No.
They don't have to leave church, leave God. They can stay with God and be involved. And the church can play a role in helping propel them and in those those activities, and they can still be faithful to God and serve God with the talents and the abilities that they have. And I think some of our young people, when they do excel and go higher, they I think they got to leave the church, but they can stay with the church and be a witness, and God can use them and right where they are and win other young people to the Lord. Stephanie talking about her daughter on ESPN. What a great witness that is. And going to, I was thinking about even our young people. What do y'all think about our young people with talent? I heard one of the trying to think of her name on that would come on one of the major shows about more of our young people going to HBCUs that really have great talent. The D1 schools want them, about them choosing HBCUs. What do y'all think about that? About when other schools want them, the bigger D1 schools, what about that?
Well, I mean, myself personally, I am definitely for HBCUs because I think it affords opportunities a lot of times that, young people don't have. And I'm even speaking from a teacher point of view as well. Just educationally, it gives them opportunities that they may not have other places. But as far as going to an HBCU, because again, that's where my daughter is, I think that those are some great decisions with great opportunities that are afforded to them. And I think that, they should definitely look into that. When you're looking for somewhere to go, or when kids are looking for or trying to make a decision about where they want to go for school, definitely consider an HBCU. Again, because of the opportunities, I look at PV, Prairie View. I went to TSU, Texas Southern. That's where I got my undergrad, and I went to PV and got my graduate master's degree. And the help that you get phenomenally. So, that's on the academic side. And then even as far as sports and things are concerned, I just think that you get a real good opportunity to really just kind of spread your wings when you have that opportunity to go and do it.
What do you think about that, Gillis? Do you think, a five-star athlete, do you think they will have a great shot at being at an HBCU? Because many of them think, oh no, man, I'm being recruited by North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, but Prairie View, FAMU, Hampton. Do you think that more of our great athletes need to consider going to HBCUs?
So my father told me about back when he was growing up, they had ice boxes.
All
right. You had to put ice in the box.
All right.
And black people sold ice. White people sold ice. And the white people would tell the blacks to buy the ice from me because my ice is colder. We have great platforms, but we've been told that our platforms are not as good. They are underfunded.
Yeah.
We don't have the alumni participation. But if you had a group of players, just imagine the Fab Five.
Wow.
If they had went to, you pick it.
Yeah.
You pick the school. Pick the school.
Pick the school.
You think the NBA wasn't gonna come get Chris Webber?
Right.
Just imagine if Bronny James, which has got the highest rated NIL since we talked about NIL,
right.
His NIL is rated at like 8.5 million a year. He hadn't even went to school yet. Where can you think the NBA won't find Bronny James? You think the NBA wouldn't find Shaq if he was at TSU?
Yeah.
Right.
They found Michael Strahan at TSU. They
Jerry
found Jerry Rice at Mississippi Valley.
Batman that worked here, Go DJ Batman, played at Prairie View,
and he got burned up.
He had the cover of Jerry Rice.
He got burned up. You think they wouldn't have found Walter Payton? They found these guys.
Yeah.
And so we got to make a decision as a collective to don't let somebody tell us. People say, well, Prairie View Prairie View is one of the nicest campuses.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you see Shannon Sharp had to take back his words because he mentioned Prairie View, and Ed George said, well, they got the best facilities in the FCS. And so don't let people tell us that their ice is colder than our ice.
Right.
You know, but they got scouts everywhere. It's video cameras everywhere. If you run a 4-1, believe me, they know who you are, and they will come and watch you run that 4-1. And so I do think that those HBCUs can compete. This young lady that just won, what do we call it, Louisiana?
The Bayou Bar.
I was thinking, man, what if she was at
Oh man, right.
HBCU? What if she
Yeah.
was at Jackson State? Anywhere, she'd be killing it. And we just got to elevate our platform. The last thing I'll say is these people of color at these HBCUs, who runs culture in this country? Who are the biggest culture influence? They all look like you. And so we don't have to tell ourselves we can't do it. We won't get the platform. Our platform is wherever we take it. Deion Sanders should have showed you that every superstar in the culture was down at Jackson State on the sideline from Drake to everybody coming to Mississippi. You ever been to Mississippi?
I've been through there.
Yeah, that's a good place to go.
Been through
Yeah,
there.
yeah. US.
You made sure you got enough gas to get through there.
I-55, keep it rolling right on the I-10 to get to Houston, right? But if you can do that in Jackson, surely you can do it at TSU in the middle of Houston.
And you know what, Pastor Gillis, I'm guilty of this. I'm gonna confess. I remember when I first came to
Oh,
Texas.
come on and repent, Bishop. Repent.
I used to talk negative about Prairie View. Had never seen it. Didn't think it was that good of a school.
Right.
But I wasn't from Texas.
Right.
Then
They didn't know better.
I went. Prairie View actually gave me an award, and I went on campus. It was one of the most beautiful campuses
It is.
I've ever seen.
It is.
Because you know, in San Antonio we got UTSA. I graduated from UTSA, and it looks like it looks like an institution. But Prairie View looks like a campus.
It is
There's
beautiful.
a feel to it.
It is
like,
becoming
oh
more
my
and more
goodness,
It's
sustainable.
yeah.
My son, oldest son, he didn't know what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
When he got ready to get out, he wasn't ready to get out the house, so
Yeah.
I had to help him. So he turned around and Gillis took him down there to Prairie View. Gillis helped me get it out the house, and so I gave him the speech. I said, "Son, look, I'm so proud of you." I said, "You know our family have a legacy at Prairie View. My grandfather, your great-grandfather, he went to Prairie View. My father and two of his brothers, that's where they went to college." I say, my brother Dino, he went to Prairie View. And I say, I really am proud of you. I need you to do exactly, I want you to do what they did.
Here it comes.
They at least 2 semesters.
Here it comes.
Did he make 2? He found every vice that you could find down there. But you know, the athletically, your child ain't going to the SWAC when he can get $1 million. If you know, I don't care how loyal you are to HBCU. My wife's, you're exactly right. My wife, was a single mother with 3 kids. They let her take her children to class. You know, who does that?
Right.
She didn't have nobody keep us. She say, the man say, as long as they sit over and be quiet.
That's right.
And see, she raised them at the house, so they knew how to act. So she got a degree with her daycare kids going to school with her. But the thing about it is, when you start talking about athletically, the exposure, and Deion Sanders brought a lot of stuff to.
Right.
When did you start seeing SWAC games on ABC? ESPN. Deion did a whole lot of stuff, but when it come down to, and we talking about NIL money, just ain't hurting the SWAC, it's hurting Baylor University. We lost 7 starters off the football team, got in the transfer portal. Every last one of them say, well, I'm getting some NIL. You know, so the NIL is gonna get a lot of the athletes that would normally go to a Prairie View or a smaller school. But let me ask you this: if your son or daughter was an athlete, and let's just say, what's your favorite school, Texas Southern or Baylor or somebody, you raise them to go there, and they say, yeah, we're gonna give you $100,000 a year to play football. You say, son, I want you to make that decision. If my son didn't make that $100,000 decision, so I'm gonna go back and review your math. Did you pass math? But it's the money.
Yeah.
It's the money that they invest in sports. And like we say, we gotta really be politically correct now that we have school teacher and a bishop here. The barbershop show is just one, it's like the barbershop is, you know, not always politically correct. We don't always cross the T's and dot the I's, but by the same token, I will say this. Y'all remember when, all y'all been in church at least 20 years. When I was a kid, the pastor said, your son shouldn't be entertaining the world. They say your kids, your boys out there entertaining the world. Then the pastor, he didn't care nothing about sports. And so he said, y'all watch football on Sundays? That's what they used to do to Christians, take them to the arena and kill them. And y'all going to he just really, so my mother and father then was so wrapped up into the pastor. My mother never saw me play one football game. And then it got where my daddy wouldn't go.
Well, I think we still need to teach our children about priorities.
Yeah.
And don't put things before God. I remember as a child, the culture was back in the days of Tom Landry, the Dallas Cowboys. Tom Landry was a very spiritual, godly man. He went to church on Sundays. Games were played after church time on Sundays in the NFL. That was the culture of the NFL. Games weren't played at 11 o'clock, and they didn't have games. They weren't having commercials and shows about games all day. Tom Landry went to church, and then games were played in the evening times in the NFL. The culture changed. My dad, we used to go to church, and I was, raised in Miami. Orange Bowl wasn't far from my church. My dad used to take us to football games after church. We used to go to the Orange Bowl and go see the Miami Dolphins play after church. That's different now. People have missed church. San Antonio, I think when the New Orleans, when they were out of their football, what was that year they were out of their stadium? Something happened. Katrina. And they played one game in San Antonio. So many of our people missed church that Sunday in San Antonio, was at the football game to see the Saints play on a Sunday. We still need to teach our children about the priorities. Don't put it ahead of God.
Now I said that to say this, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yes.
Because he preached hard against football. And I wasn't no star. I just wanted a jacket because the girls wanted to wear that jacket.
Right.
You know how girls said, I just wanted that leather. You get a sock jacket, baby, you in. And I turned around and I watched him fight football, and some of the parents wouldn't even tell nobody that their kids play. But you see him in the paper and all of that. But they, his daddy wanted to play. But one of the guys went to the NFL. And when he signed a big contract, they wanted tied. They want your tithe, but they fought you. And he say, no, I'm not going to this church because the pastor say we shouldn't play football. I never saw anything wrong with it. So why should I invest dirty money to the church?
Yeah.
And I think we got to look at some of the things that, and I'm different. I've changed. I understand that it got to be a balance.
Right.
Yeah.
I never let my kids be in nothing I wasn't going to support.
Right.
If I wasn't going to support it, that means I was going to be there.
Right.
And I don't, if it's PTA and what we suffer from in the black community, and I know it used to make me mad because I go see little kids play football, and it would be 200 or 300 people out there in the cold on a Tuesday night. Then you go to PTA and ain't nobody there.
Right.
Ain't nobody there at PTA. And you guys a teacher, my wife a
You're a
teacher.
science teacher, right?
I am.
Now, see, in sports, when we were talking about the different areas of sports, everybody's not going to make the NFL or small percentage of NBA, basketball, professional baseball team. But that STEM, the science, technology, engineering,
math.
math, there's a part of NBA, NFL. That's a big organization,
Right.
huge. There's a math side of it. There's a technology part of it, and I think in education we need to help our children that want to be a part of sports, want to be in that world. Let them know that you can be a part of that world through technology,
Right.
through math.
Right,
What
and
do you
it
say
may
about
not,
that?
it may not even be the actual on-field
Yes.
playing part of
Right.
it. It may be just as what you're doing. You may be a sportscaster. You can do the, sports medicine. There are so many different aspects of the game that involve the STEM part of education that they could go into. But I think a lot of times our kids or our young men, our young women, they just get so caught up in the actual playing part that they forget that there are so many different aspects that they could get into and be successful at it and still be a part of the sports realm. But yeah, for sure, the STEM portion would be very advantageous to a lot of children, young people who will never hit the field, will never hit the court, none of that. But they can still be very successful at it.
Females can be a part of that. They can be a part in that, in the area of football and just the other areas. And we were talking about the other sports that are out there that aren't that popular, well known in the black. Yeah.
Hey, pickleball.
Yeah.
It's a guy, go DJ Batman, check this out. His daughter got a bowling scholarship. To, you know what school? To Prairie View. And you go to the bowling,
That's right.
that you see her picture of
We
bowling.
do have a bowling
She's
alley
a Hall of
at
Fame
Prairie View.
bowler
Definitely
from Prairie
do.
View. And now she's acting in movies in Atlanta. But she got a scholarship, bowling scholarship. She played basketball at Waco High and ran track and all of that. Her daddy, she loved bowling with daddy, and he got so good, he said, we need to put you on the bowling team.
Yeah.
And she actually got a scholarship, and you can go to Prairie View right now, wherever y'all bowling.
That's right.
You see her big old picture up there.
And who comes up with some of these games and make them popular? Even if we can even challenge our young people to come up with some games, create some games, and let it start spreading. I'm just thinking right now how we used to play marbles. What if marbles just became a hit and became nationwide and have tournaments of how to play? Did you play marbles when you were, and if that became worldwide, the strategy of it and how to play it.
You know what I did when I was growing up? I stole bicycles and stuff like that. Remember that? I stole bikes. That's what I did as a kid.
Yeah.
Threw rocks at cars, you know.
Right.
That's kind of stuff we did.
But I'm just talking about, we were just talking about kids not going outside as much, doing
Oh, they got
things
to.
and
And
coming
they
up with
don't.
activities and games that would bring kids outside again, being physical and being involved.
Well, you are so dead on, because that's one of the things that I look at as a parent and as a teacher, the fact that our children are so immobile. They are very immobile and for the most part, and a lot of times there's such a, from what I know, and I probably need to look up the statistics on that, the number of children that actively participate in any kind of sport, any kind of active sport, versus those that are on social media, those that are on playing the games on computer games. And even with computer games, you're right. If you couldn't come up with a program, if you are that person that can come up with a new computer program, and you're able to supply a living for yourself from that computer programming, that's great. But it's still nothing, and I know, I'm even thinking spiritually, there's nothing that beats movement.
Right.
And you gotta be able to have movement in your life. So actively participating, I remember, you keep talking about when you were growing up. I so remember when I was growing up, my parents, their theory was, we don't care what you're in as long as it's something that is structured, as long as it is something you have some type of adult supervision, we will support you. So I can remember when I played basketball, I didn't play basketball in a skirt. And so that provided a lot of controversy for me because I wore the uniform. And so, cheerleading, this, that, ran track, the whole nine. And so, my mom told me, Lord bless her sweet soul, and she told me later on in her life, she said it took a lot of heat for you because of that. Because when we're talking about, the church and the sports thing, But she just told me, she said, I took a lot of heat because I wanted you to be active. I wanted you to be a child. I wanted you to grow up. And I love the Lord. I totally love the Lord. But I also wanted to participate in sports. And her and my dad afforded me the opportunity to do that. So.
Hey, let me go take a commercial right quick, and we'll be right back, because I want to ask you guys, I want to get a solution, some ideas and some concepts on what the church, how the church can effectively build teams within the church and teach them those same principles that you had to learn to be a teammate in those concepts, because that's crucial too, because we have a lot of individual superstars that I know we do at Waco. Yeah. And we have to clip their wings every once in a while. We'll be right back. You listen to the Barbershop on CBS Sports Radio, Central Texas. You got these sponsors.
Good, Stephanie, that you could come.
Reg, you can't
Reg,
stand over there.
You want to jump
You
in
can't
here?
stand over there. You better get on the video. We're gonna turn the camera over there on.
No, you know, I got on my do-rag. I don't know what you're doing.
It's raining.
I don't have my hair on. Hold on.
Y'all thought of y'all solutions?
What's going on today? Hey, I want to pause for the cause and just
Y'all just-
thank you to one of the most positive entities.
Yeah, a lot of people looking on me too.
And that
It
is
reminds me, because when Morgan first started doing ESPN in Houston,
they are doing in our
she would, they were on the radio, but they were also being video on like a stream. And when they would go to commercial, we could still see them and they were talking and everything. So this is just the setup like what they had. That was what she was in Houston. And I don't know how they do it in Connecticut. That's the bigger arena.
So you saying that you think that they might come give us a seat and take them to the
My son, youngest son, he was got his master's in law from Syracuse, and he was up there working for ESPN. I mean NFL.
Oh, okay.
And so he turned around and wasn't coming back home and all of that. So I went up there, and I said, hey, I'm representing the Stimson family. You better get your butt back down here in Texas. We didn't get second mortgages and all of that to finance you, for you to be up here with Green and them having fun. Get your butt down. Ain't nobody gonna come check on you. And 2 weeks later, he transferred to Dallas. I said, man, you too far away from us. Then he married a lawyer and act like you don't know. You used to be my homie, now you act like you don't know me. I'm like, boy.
Yo, what up? This is DJ Batman from 94.5 Big. You're listening to the Barbershop on CBS Sports Radio, Central Texas, 94.5 HD.
This is Keith Kemp yesterday. He refereed the game. Championship game.
Facebook page. Keith Campbell.
I remember that.
Oh, I need to put church music on.
That's right. Brother Stimson, he doesn't want me, he don't want me to make him a preacher on here.
We go make a couple of sports analysis. I'm gonna ask y'all opinion on some stuff. You listen to the Barbershop on CBS Sports Radio, Central Texas, and on the Centex Sports One app. Hey, look, if you're out of market, you can always download the Centex Sports One app. Go to Google Play, go to the App Store, wherever you download stuff for your electronic devices, and you can be a Tolo. You know what that means? Turn it on, leave it on. You can listen from anywhere your government phone picks up service. Hey, look, all our CBS Sports Radio Central Texas programming is not pre-recorded. We're bringing it to you live from the Battery Joe Studios. Get the screen on your phone replaced the same day by calling Battery Joe at 254-870-1270. Want to appreciate our sponsors, TFNB, Your Bank for Life, Petty Low T Clinic, Rock Ready Printing. If you sell out of the vehicles that's wrapped, Rock Ready does a lot of the rapping. You used to have to go to Dallas or Austin. And I asked Rudy, that's my boy over there, Rudy, I say, Rock Steady with Rock Ready. I said, man, y'all got that rapping cars down. He say, bring me a picture of Denzel. I can rap you and make you look like Denzel. But they some good people, and we appreciate all that they're doing. Now, as a African American queen, okay, you're not the Bayou Barbie, so we'll say the CBS Sports Radio Barbie. Okay, they made a lot of people just really showed the inside. The older you get, your filter just get thin. And I saw a lot of people responded to, oh girl doing that, and doing that. And Keith Olbermann, he started talking about Thug and all of that. I'm like, Keith Olbermann, okay. And then Jill Biden, Iowa should come too. So these older white people, filter ain't working like it should. Some things you should keep to yourself. And they were making a big deal out of it. Then Keith Olbermann came back and tried to apologize. Well, you said that too fast. Maybe you should have, and then Jill Biden has not made an apology, but her press secretary or whatever. But we know how you really feel. You were rooting for Iowa. You wanted them to come. And I look at Caitlin Clark. To me, if I was drafting a player, that's who I would get. Phenomenal player. But I appreciate her coming back saying, look, we apex competitors. We competitors is just, and she said something that makes the most sense. She says, stuff like this is going to make people come to the game. And it was 9.9 million people watched the NCAA women's basketball championship. Now, we got Coach Kim Mulkey. She from down here. This is where she won championships and expanded her brand. Did y'all watch those games? What do you think as a black woman for a comment made like that?
I think that, just outwardly, it was just, to me, it's kind of a little disrespectful. But, I'm just thinking about the young lady, doing her sides, and I saw that. And I'm just thinking, I even go back to my coaching days, from the days when I coached. And when our ladies would make plays and they would do things on the court that were really, really good. Of course, they want to celebrate, but as a coach, even my head coach, and we would let them know there's a certain level of celebrating that you have to do on the court. And honestly, you would have to kind of bump some of it down. But I get the fact that she's totally good at her craft. She's very good at what she does. And the celebration, that's her celebration. But to come for her about the way that she celebrates, I think you're right. You have to learn how to hold your filter, because it's not for you to say something about everything that everybody does. Everybody now, you said something earlier about people needing to, about the political correctness of things. And so if you did not like that, then that was your opinion. But you did not like that. You didn't like the way she celebrated, or you felt like she should have done something a little differently. Well, that was your opinion. But as far as saying things that would be hurtful, saying things that would comfort you in a hurtful kind of way, I'm never for that.
Now, it's like this, that I've learned this. This is learned, and I tell the people the word in Zulu is Nesunda. We are learning, and what we are learning is emotional intelligence.
Right.
Because I got to control my emotions.
That's right.
Morgan used to say, "You better be glad a teleprompter don't run across my head what I'm really thinking."
Yeah.
But I think a lot of times we got to keep some of this stuff to ourselves.
That's right.
Even it ain't a racial issue. If it's not race or whatever, it's just, no, I don't really like you, but you competing against my team. It's just, I did not like Shaq. I did not like Michael Jordan. I did not like Kobe. I didn't like none of them because they beat up on my team. But after they, got through, I started liking Duncan. I didn't like them playing against my team. Because I'm a Maverick fan. I didn't like Ginobili and Park and them and Popovich and Geoffrey Stirrup and Missy Igerhart, Jeffrey Johnson. I didn't like all of that because I'm a Maverick fan. But that didn't have nothing to do outside of sports.
Right,
Outside of
right.
sports, they regular people.
That's right.
The last I checked, just about every man I know or heard of put on one shoe at a time. One pants leg at a time, whatever. But a lot of times, we have to understand, because as pastors and people in leadership positions, sometimes we can say some things that are disingenuous.
That's right.
I get to use these kind of words, I gotta understand. You know, and it would almost be imbecilic
Yeah,
for me to say some things
that's right.
in Bible class or something, but you got to understand the team, because it'll mess the team up. And we had guys playing sports. We had Donnie Quick Draw McGraw, is what they call him. He was a senior quarterback. They let the quarterbacks wear the red jerseys. You couldn't tackle the quarterback. And boy, he was just, and so he said, you better be glad you got the red. Coach heard, so he said, take that red jersey out. We couldn't tackle him to save our life. Because he's the reason why they called him that. But by the same token, that, you know, we hear things on the periphery, and we have to kind of address it. But even knowing how to address it, like somebody gonna have to sit down and talk to Luka Doncic. Number one, you need to get in shape. You need to make free throws. You lose games because you miss free throws. But when we're working with our youth and our church people and doing like coaches, and I tell people, even as a pastor, I've used this. My wife say you use sports too much. I say Jesus talked about fishing because that's what they did. They were fishermen.
Yeah.
I say I'm like Jimmy Johnson. My job is to help you reach your full spiritual potential. I don't have to tackle. Jimmy didn't tackle. He didn't throw no passes, but he made you, help you to get where you needed to be.
Yeah, you know, and you speaking on that, I'll tell my sports story here that I tell my church, the movie Hoosiers, when one of those players decided he was not going to do what the coach said, and coach pulled him out of the game, and he's going to just go back in the game, and he says, hey, where you going? Where you going? And he says, sit down. And he told him to sit down because he wasn't following the plays, working with the team. Then he sent in one of the worst plays he had, and he had to go in the game. Wasn't playing well. Then one of his players fouled out. So he's playing with 4 players now. And this is just a great line. The ref say, what are you going to do, coach? He says, my team's on the floor. And that's what I tell my church is, this is our team. We're not trying to compare ourselves to other churches. We're not trying to, we're going to play. This is our team. I'm proud of my team. We're going to learn our roles. We're going to grow right where we are. We're going to become a strong team, a good team. We're going to win. I'm going to win with this team. And I think that's something pastors, the mentality that they need to have, and not try to compare themselves with a bigger church or greater church or whatever, but coach up, motivate, encourage, pour into what you have, and let them know I'm proud of my team. I'm proud of my church. I'm proud of the people that go to my church, whether it's 5, 10, 15, 100, 5,000. That's my team. My team's on the floor. We're going to win. I'm getting fired up here.
Go ahead.
We're going to win. We're going to win. We're going to make progress. We're going to do some things. You know, say something, Pastor Gillis. I'm ready to run here. Run through a wall here.
I think, Bishop, we got an intersection. I'll state this, Mr. C. I almost said it.
We good.
We got an intersection of cultures here, so of age stuff. The old school way was you score a touchdown and you hand the ball to the referee and you go back to the, you know, or you do whatever your job, and you just, you know, I'm gonna be real humble, and if you listen to them, I just thank God for being here. The new culture, they're more in your face. It's happening. It's happening because, for one, understand there's money tied to this. They generated money. Right, and so both of them have big platforms, and so we got some of people maybe in my generation. No, we didn't do it like that. We just, well, that's how we did it, right? this generation gets an opportunity to do it the way that they do it. And so, and it kind of equates to the church. The young people are going to be different in church now.
That's right.
Yeah.
They are.
They're different.
They are.
They might not necessarily look like Bishop
Right.
when they show up.
Yeah.
So what we gonna do? Run them off? No. So we gotta find a way for this medium to happen and understand that the generation before us had the same problem with us.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So and we live somehow, you know. And so because the principles don't change, God doesn't change, and so we can't lose. You know, let's not get all caught up in just because them girls was whooping. Because if truth be told, men been whooping for the last 30, 40 years. You know. Always, but because the female did it.
Yeah.
A lot of people got a problem with, no, they shouldn't be talking like that. Well, guess what? The young lady, Clark, she's been whooping.
Yeah.
Nobody had a problem with it. Even the players didn't have a problem with it. Guess what? They talk trash on courts now. All people. If you watch them play PlayStation, I think PlayStation is the most racist. If you ever just watch your kids play and listen to the conversations that they have and how they talking about different games. So that's just the culture, and we have to embrace it and see how can we fit it into our church to make our teams better and put our team, as Bishop said, on the floor.
That's right. You know, when we look at team building, all of us that played sports, we had somebody on the team that was difficult to deal with.
Right.
Yeah.
And usually it was one of the better players.
Yeah.
Because the bottom feeders, you know, the catfish.
Were you one of those players that got picked last?
You better ask somebody. That was so long ago, the guys won't even remember. But I gave the best effort I could.
Yeah.
And when they got close to me, I brought them down.
All right.
So, you know, at the end of the day, you had difficult people you had to deal with because they better and the coach liked them or whatever. And the coach found a way to get the talent out of them. And then when they became a senior in that last game, get out of my office, don't come out and put, I had you. So in the church, ain't it the most talented people in your church?
Yeah.
The most talented musicians we ever had. They the most difficult to deal with. So it's no different than saying you got these sports divas when the church has these divas and have to deal with some of this. I've never had a Dominion sized facility and never had a church full of folk, but I learned how to use what I got. This is what I'm supposed to be doing with what I got. And my theme is want to will be can do, especially if can do, don't want to.
Yeah.
Let's just want to do it. Like Nehemiah, give me somebody that want to do it.
Yeah.
Like Gideon, just give me these that's committed to get the job done. And that's what happens in the basketball world, in the sporting world. They'll sit good coaches, the Belichick's, the Jimmy Johnson, them will sit a star down. But the church, we act like we can't afford to sit fire a musician for beneficials or whatever. We don't want to do them. I don't have no problem firing because I feel like if you get paid, you're professional.
You find some of the best.
I fired some of the best. I did. And I didn't look back because we got to stand. It's a brand. You mess the brand up, you got to go. Brand got to shine. You got to go. I don't care. We can track it up now.
Yeah.
Our brand is holiness.
Right.
Yeah. Our brain is holiness, and so there's a line, a standard we have to have that we're not going to cross, we're not going to compromise, and that's what that coach was doing when he said, "My team's on the floor." That player that wasn't doing what he said was his best player.
Hey, say hi to Steve Dinwiddie, your former pastor.
Yeah, listen, Steve. We used to, I knew him as a teenager, Ray. We used to go out on the court and play ball. I used to take him with me. We played ball as a teenager. I used to take him with me, and I mentored him in the church with sports. So he's a testimony about how I use sports to really mentor him and bring him in the church. I pick him up during the week of the school that I taught at. We played games every Wednesday. And I'd go get him and take him to the court, and he wasn't saved then. He'd be out there saying words that wasn't you know, wasn't speaking in tongues.
Yeah.
He would say some
You
things
understood his
that
tongues.
right. And he never liked anybody fouling his pastor. When I get a hard foul, he'd be ready. He was ready to fight. Calm down, Steve. It's all right. I'm okay. Yeah. But I tell you what, he stayed with the church. Yeah, I saw so much in him as a young man, and now he's just he's a man of God. And you know what? I look back on him, just speaking of him, when you have young men in your church that have that energy, you want them to work with young people.
Yeah.
You find young men, and that's what he did. He really was a great youth leader in my church. I know he worked with you with Ames. When you were over Ames, he worked in the youth department with Ames because he had a love for young people. So when we find those young men and young women in our church that have all that energy and want to do things, we got to get them involved with the young people, because just like I used to take him out like that, when I got older, I wasn't going out like that anymore, but that's what he did. And he would get my boys and get other young men at the church and take them out and do things, even all the way up to the state level. And it's so important to identify those kind of people in our church.
Two things that you brought to my memory.
Yes.
I remember when Dinwiddie would go speak during one of the day sessions.
Yes.
And he got there late and he didn't have no socks on. And Mama Cooper was meddling him.
Oh, Lord.
Got on his wife, say, that's on you. You made sure he. And I wanted to fight you.
Lord,
I wanted to fight you.
Oh my goodness.
I was hoping you would get on the basketball court. I was going to trip you. And I'm going to tell you when he was. Kenneth Davison.
I remember.
It was your district, wasn't that your district?
Back then, yeah.
That was your district.
He was in
They
my
had a
district.
district basketball
Right.
tournament.
Right.
Stetson, what y'all doing? Y'all ought to play in our basketball tournament. I said, when it is? They said, I said, well, let me see if I can't get the men at the church, because it's brotherhood night. And I said, hey, y'all, we got on the church bus, and we going down there to play basketball. Like 8 of us. And 3 of them wasn't basketball players. And we go down there to your tournament. Okay. And we were smashing them. I was just bang, bang. I looked like a miniature Black Dirt Nowitzki out there. And they put big Marcus,
Marcus Banks.
They had big Marcus Banks
6'8".
blindside me, hit me in the throat. And then we were still, you know what I did? I got back up, recovered, and bang! I say, I'm talking noise. So they started running all them teenager boys out there. Y'all had about 30 people till they finally won. And so I never forgot that. And y'all charged us $6 for every head to come in there to eat a hot dog and some chips. I never forgot that.
Let it go.
Hey, look at
Let
it.
it go with the seed.
Dinwiddie say, don't do it, Soup. Don't do it.
Let it go.
I never got that. Sports almost separated us, but after the game, I was ready. But I sure didn't want you to get out. You remember I kept saying, go get your stuff. I want to stick my leg out. I wanted to see him fall so bad. They kept running fresh players. We had 8 players, but it was just, we going down there to play sports. Guys unequivocally just jumped on and went down there. And it was,
that does connect, sports connects you with a generation. The generation that's coming up. It connects you, and it does play a great role in church. Now I'm talking to my men now about golf, because I don't play basketball anymore. But golf is one of those sports that costs money to play. But I'm talking to my men about, you play golf? Yeah, play
Not at
golf.
all.
Yeah, but that's
Not at all.
what
Now, I've been playing golf about 40 years.
Yeah, but that's what I'm starting to talk up in my church now, because I have some golfers in my church now. So I'm saying, hey, y'all, let's start doing this, because we're older now. We're not out there on the basketball court, and I want to introduce it to our teenagers. Let's start teaching them about golf and pushing golf. That's one of those sports we tend not to introduce to our sons and to our daughters. I think
see, I was playing golf before the Tiger Woods era.
Yeah.
Because my father then played. And then you saw everything. Once Tiger Woods started playing, everybody started coming out there.
Right.
But the thing about golfing that you will enjoy, and you will enjoy if you love golf, once you play, is like life. Life is like a round of golf. Better enjoy the fairways because you ain't gonna get to play but one time. But you go there and it's just ambiance that you look around and it's just, I can say I'm going golfing, that's 6 hours. My wife don't even check on me. I used to tell my wife, you always want me doing stuff you doing. You always want me to follow you. Come golf with me. So me and a friend of mine from Houston, him and his wife came up, spent the night, we were going golfing. We were out there at Conley Golf Course. Me and him was riding on the cart, and our wives was riding on the cart. And we pulled up to a par 3 where it's a little bitty creek, and it was a water moccasin. And I got a club out of my bag and killed the water moccasin, and I held it up. My wife was running down that other fairway. Be like, come back, Forrest! Come back, Forrest!
As she should.
We had to say, hey, you running into them driving balls. And she will not go near a golf course.
I took golf in college, help get my GPA up, want to take a PD class. So need to get my GPA up a little bit so I could qualify to get into the school education. I had to have a certain GPA. My grades wasn't, it's kind of tolerant there. But you know what? I did good in it. But to get better in it, you got to pay. And I've never paid to play sports. And that's what got me to golf. I never, when I started seeing you had to pay to play, I never had to pay to play sports.
I've never had an interest. And I'm sure I don't have an interest because I just don't really understand the game.
But I think that would be good to introduce some of our young people to.
Yeah, that, and when we could no longer play basketball, we started playing softball. And softball so much fun. We've had church softball teams.
See, this goes back to getting outside.
Yeah.
Getting out people. Even I was praying once, and the Lord, I know the Lord spoke to me about that. You need to go outside and pray.
Yeah.
Go outside. Why? You always inside. Start going outside. And Jesus was 30 years old when he started his ministry. Jesus was in shape. His men were in shape. They walked everywhere. They traveled and they were outside. Jesus did his praying outside. Jesus was an outdoor man.
See, Gillis, you wrong for that.
What?
I felt in my spirit.
What?
Could you imagine the size of their calves walking everywhere in sandals?
But we have a generation, we have a culture where we're just indoors. We're indoors and everything's pleasant and it's got to be just right. But we're going to have to help this generation that's coming up. And I'm talking about very, very young generation, babies, so they don't just get caught up in this right here.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
To enjoy the outdoors.
Down here, back during when I had energy to play basketball, and we played in all the church leagues. Open door. We played against Pastor Foreman and them church. We beat them in the championship, and we didn't have but 7 players. 7 players. Everybody else had a slew of people, and then we were saying, we coaches go take that thing. We go whip we go behead all the Baptists. We were talking on having fun and all this kind of stuff.
Well, what about something just as simple as the women going walking, praying, or the men going walking, praying, and letting it be something that becomes a routine? And we heard a prayer about, we heard a message there about prayer, and I was telling them the late Bishop Ailey Dale Thomas, I heard him preach a message about prayer habit, being addicted. And walking is something you can get addicted to. If you ever get started on it, and so you combine that with prayer and walking, getting people to pray, say, hey, we're going to do prayer walking this morning, every day at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, or Wednesdays, or whatever. And so you're getting people to pray, and we're also getting people to walk. What if in our churches we started something like that, have people walking and praying, getting physical exercise, being outside, and even starting it with our youth, prayer and walking, teaching them about prayer, getting them scriptures, reading scriptures. You're going to read this scripture when we walk. You're going to read this scripture in this walk. You're going to read from this when we walk, and just, get in a routine, and it becomes addictive. It becomes a habit, and we're getting built up spiritually.
I am totally for, particularly the getting outside part. I remember when my husband was alive, and we actually had farmland, and we would go out to the farm. I know what a post hole bit is. I know what that is. I've helped to build a fence, but I just love being outside. And particularly in my profession where we are inside all of the time, when I have an opportunity to get outside, this is like some days when I get off of work, instead of just going straight home and going back inside again, sometimes I just drive around, or I want to be outside. So I'm in definite cahoots with you on that, as far as particularly with our younger generation, because they are so sedimentary. And they like being inside. I look at my classes in my classroom sometimes, and I pose the question, and I just ask them, when y'all leave school on a daily basis, what are you doing? They go home, they eat, and then they park. And they're basically in that position until it's time to go to bed. Or they're up all night. And it's evident, because when they get to class, this is when they want to sleep. And so to become more active, to become more just innovative as far as trying to come up with some things to do that are going to be outside. Now, I don't know about y'all, I ain't never really done that, like camping and taking the kids. I don't know nothing about it.
I was in the city.
But 2 hours in the city of Waller. But I really don't know that much about that. But just I'm for taking them outside of the walls, going outside. When I was a kid, we talking about making up stuff to do. We did the mud pies. We did the this, the that. We had a basketball court. My uncle just welded this huge basketball goal. So we did that. We did the community baseball thing. And it would get real serious. When we would be out there playing baseball, it got real serious real quick because nobody wanted to lose. But it was the fact that you're outside. Even physiologically, it's much better for your brain when you're outside. When we went through this COVID, when COVID first hit, one of the things that they would tell you is get outside so that you could absorb some of that free vitamin D. And so last year for AIM, that was the first time I didn't get to go to AIM. Had all of my stuff together.
You didn't miss nothing at all.
Well, I didn't go, but I got my vehicle together, got all my little grit together. I'm ready to go. Just a few days before or a week before. Now, out of all of this time I've been around my kids, this is when I had COVID. And so when I had COVID, I was on lockdown. I got locked down into my bedroom. My daughter was home at that time. Mom, you have to just stay here. It really kind of turned out pretty good because my bills were at the door. All of this, all of my amenities were there. But what I found was when I started going outside, and I would just go outside and just stay outside for hours. And it was awesome. And it's freeing going out to do walking. They talk about, even the endorphins that you wake up as a result. Most people do running, but even in walking, the serotonin, just get everything where it needs to be as far as being outside. So I am definitely, whether it's for the church, when I'm in school, or whatever, to just be a part of stuff where you can get out of the four walls and participate, as opposed to always shut down on our computers, on our phones, things like that.
Let me ask you a question.
All ages, all ages.
Let me ask you a question. I learned homeostasis from my wife. I took them COVID shots.
Yeah.
Hot, chilled, and it took me 5 years to get my associates, and I know all y'all it took me 5 years.
You didn't quit. That is a
Right.
sports That is a sports
Here's
metaphor.
Here I want to ask you. This is what I want to ask you. What is sedimentary? That sounds like somebody.
Sedimentary.
Stiff.
You just always sitting. When you're constantly
I can
sitting.
use that in a sermon time.
Yes, it's sedimentary.
You can't do that. You got to carry a cross.
That's right. And you cannot carry that cross if you are sedimentary. Yeah,
See, y'all don't know how to use them words in your present, in your preaching situations right there.
And
Yeah.
sedimentary, what's the other word versus sedimentary? That's, there's the other word where you're more flexible, what is that?
Oh, like the opposite
Yeah.
of sedimentary. Well, really, I can't think of it right now. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I can't think, but basically, it's just being active.
Right.
Well, let me ask y'all this. Just flip the script just a little bit, because I believe this is your first time bringing the Ministers and Workers meeting to the convocation ground
Right.
in Waco, Texas. Miss you guys enormously, and it's always good to see friends, lifetime friends. So, how has it been coming back to Waco? Normally, it don't rain here in Waco, but what do y'all think about being back in Waco for the first time for Ministers and Workers at the convocation ground?
Well, you know, it's always, like you say, it's good to see the saints, and it's different because this is first coming here during this time of the year. Not used to coming to Waco during this time of the year. This meeting has usually been in either Temple, Houston, or San Antonio.
Where we can have good breakfast.
and we don't use the Waco grounds for this. So yeah, it's been different, but hey, we've enjoyed it. You know, the Waco grounds has such a history to it. So whenever we come to the Waco grounds, there's just a sacredness and soberness that comes over us when we come together and to see the people of God come together, especially when you have people that have so much of our life is spent in church. So much of our life in time, money, and energy, and I remember you laughed at me because we brought my children were very small. We brought them to Waco during the summertime, and it's so hot in Waco during the summer. And I said, I'm gonna make a vacation out of this. And we went to the Waco Zoo. It was so hot, the animals were just looking at us like, we're not coming out from under the shade. We looking at them like,
The animals, what animals?
they looking at us like we crazy, like, look at them stupid people out there in the sun. They were not budging for us, and you laughed at us, and yeah, man, it's too hot in Waco.
Yeah, Waco ain't no place to vacation in the summer if you got kids.
Right.
They go spend all their time at the water park.
Yes.
I remember he's bishop now, Bishop Gillis was the AIM chairman. He said, we're gonna have that picnic.
Oh, wow.
And I said, no, we're not doing that. He's out of town. We're not having that picnic. And I say, man, it's so hot out there.
Yes.
And now we couldn't do that. It's 120 in the shade in Waco.
Well, as far as being in Waco for the Minister and Workers Conference, this is actually my first time for the Minister and Workers Conference because being a teacher, we're in the testing period.
Right.
And I just kind of put in and was hoping that it would be approved. It was approved. So this is really my first time, and I am totally enjoying it. And you kind of have to reframe your brain because being here, you automatically think in terms of the July meeting. It feels like the July meeting, but when the Lord is just blessed, has been totally blessing us during this time. I love coming together. I love when all of us come together. I love the camaraderie. I love the fellowship that we have. And we do miss you. Yeah. We do miss you. But I love being here. And the rain, I'm used to it.
Y'all don't miss me.
Yeah.
Number one, if you miss me, you call me. Or you invite me to something,
Bet.
There you go. I'm saying that to the bishop.
Yeah, hey, listen. We got you, Stirrup. We got you.
But you know, we always look at trying to be better and inspiring people. Some of the most inspirational things I've ever heard have come from sports figures. I've heard like John Wooden, and I heard this the other day. I'm gonna share this with you guys. This was, do you remember Keith Jackson? He changed his name to Maul something.
3-point shooter.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Chris Jackson from LSU.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, listen to this, what he said here.
Now, he had Tourette's, right? Okay.
Uh-oh. Let me start over here. He said this, and I just thought, I'm one of them guys that love some quotes and stuff.
Distinct and legitimate reasons for having passed through.
Uh-oh, I messed it up. I'm gonna have to wait till it go out and I can start over. But some of the most powerful things that I've heard was from sports figures, from coaches,
Right.
from the Stephen A. Smiths, the Marcellus Wileys, these people that's doing these sports talk shows. I'm like, wow, the Rachel Maddows, you know, those people. And I listen at some of the same scenarios in which that they speak. We can use some of this to help motivate and inspire our young people. This is what he said. It was powerful to me. Okay, go ahead and start. Don't do me like that. We live, Lucia.
Right to come into this world and go out of it without leaving behind distinct and legitimate reasons for having passed through it. So when it's all said and done, it's about leaving a legacy worth leaving. We all got a choice. And for me, look, I'm not perfect. None of us are. I have my flaws. I'm not the most eloquent and articulate and smartest guy in the world. But I know where my heart lies. And I know what my intentions are. And forever I'm going to strive to be better and to benefit people as much as I can.
Now I've been fortunate to know professional athletes because it started with my cousin. He played for the Rams, and I'm actually bigger than he was when he played cornerback for the Rams. Pat Thomas, number 27, played in Super Bowl against the Steelers. And the thing about it is, they inspire you, they motivate you. And when I wanted to quit in life, and going through some of the hardest things that I've ever gone through in life, what a coach said to me when we were getting ready to play a game, some of those locker room speeches, some of that grabbing me by the face mask, cussing at me, telling me, oh, you a quitter. Some of that stuff that those coaches said inspired you not to quit. And they would even use words that I never heard of, like stick-to-itness. You know, I'm a kid, and then he said, one of my coaches, I kept getting beat. And he said, what you got to do is endeavor to persevere. I'm like, endeavor to, this sounds so clear, man. What you talking about? Endeavor to persevere. But as you get older, you start remembering and you start passing that on to the next generation. And my son now, you know what they do now?
Yeah.
He coaching over there at Waco High. They just continue carrying on what they learned, what you taught.
Yeah.
Because, you know, visual learners, they see us. They don't hear pastor, they see pastor. When they can look and see you at them. And the worst thing I did was go to girls' volleyball games, but the girls was at the church. Pastor, you don't come to none of my games. I'm like, I went to girl volleyball game. I'm sitting there looking at girl volleyball. I said, man, there's 1,000 things I can be doing, but supporting them in the volleyball. I got one daughter, they lost every game. She was at Conley when Conley was losing. I'd be the only black dude in the whole gym. Be the only black dude, and they would get beat by everybody. And I remember a friend of mine was Machiavelli, junior college, Midland Junior College coach. Her name was Francesca. She came down here, and one of my barbers, they were good friends. I said, can you get my daughter a scholarship? Yeah, I give her a scholarship. Tell her to come over and I'll meet and I'll give her free education. So she said she ain't gonna be whining about playing. I said, no, she can't play no more. He said, I don't care. She said, I don't care. I'll give a scholarship free. So I went home. I told my daughter, I got you a scholarship. My daughter looked at me like y'all turn y'all head like, I'm just doing basketball just to be doing something. I thought about all of my hours I put in there. I said, so I will not be going back to them games because I can find something else to do. But I realized then it got to be fun.
Yes.
It got to be fun.
But when they hear stories about our failures and we kept on going,
Yeah.
and I think those are the most interesting stories, not so much about you were a straight A student, and I mean, I've met people, came easy for me, for them. It was just making A's and grasping material, and it was like a gift, like somebody could play basketball, or
Yeah.
I mean, it's just had that gift of intelligence, of just, but to really hear stories, and I think a lot of our young people need to hear that, and you get that in sports, about being knocked down and getting back up again and not giving up and staying in there. It just means so much. So our young people really need to hear more about our failures and how we didn't quit and got back in there again. And because sometimes I think our young people, when it comes to going to college, they don't feel like they've achieved anything when they could get out of high school, and they don't go to a quote unquote big name college. They're going to a junior college, like that's a bad thing. It's not. It's not. It's a road. You're on a journey.
It's a journey.
It's a journey. So you're going to junior college, and you may have to work while you go, but all that's part of it, and I know about that, and a lot of us know about that, and we need to let them know that's good. Don't think you're a failure because you graduated from high school and you hear your other friends saying, I'm going here, I'm going there, I got a scholarship here, I'm going there, and you're afraid to say, I'm going to San Antonio College, or I'm going to St. Philip's, or whatever. No, it's a journey, and that's admirable, and that's good. That's great.
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah, I totally agree about just letting your kids know. And when you were talking, I was thinking, the Bible says first natural, then spiritual.
Yeah.
And on the natural side, I didn't make the grade on every single thing. I wasn't the best at every single thing. I failed. I flat out failed at some things. And even saying that, I was thinking about when I was taking physics in college, because that was a part of my degree plan. Hated physics, hated it. But the point was, I had to have it because it was a part of my degree plan. And eventually, got it, did it, checked that off the box. But, on the natural side, they need to know that we didn't just come here making it, we didn't just come here and things just, fell into our laps. We did not. And it's the same thing spiritually. You're not gonna always, there's a lady in my church that would always say, you're not gonna make 100 every day. Sometimes, you need some extra credit because you didn't even do a real good fitting. So you need some things that gonna help take you over the time. And these quotes, I love quotes too. I love quotes. And so to have these things that we even that we will say to our kids now, and I'm talking about toddlers all up to young adults, all of them need encouragement. All of them need to know this is not the end of the line for you. If you didn't make it here, that's not the end of the line for you. I love the fact that you were talking about kids who feel like, oh, well, I'm going to a junior college, so that makes me lesser of. No, it does not.
No.
That's just the path that you're taking to go where you need to go.
Right.
So, those quotes and words of encouragement, and of course I think about David, eventually sometimes it may even be, you got to pat your own self on the back, encourage yourself, whatever it takes to keep going, because here she go again, but the Lord just said, I'll never leave you, I'll never forsake you, so just do what you need to do and get to that place of where I've already designed for you to be in the first place.
Two of the people that motivates me the most, they're not preachers, they're athletes that I watched grow up. Now, Dwight played for the Eagles and the Giants. He's in Atlanta. Ahmad Washington played for Baylor. And God put them in my life to motivate me. Because everybody can't motivate a pastor.
Right, right.
You know. And it's like I had those lulls when you insoucious or whatever. Then I get a call from Ahmad Washington. Hey man, God, what's going on? This is what I'm doing. And just a couple of weeks ago, he called me when I was in one of those lulls. And he said, the Lord told him, a lot of people use people to make money. And the Lord say, don't do that. Use money to make people. And I was like, wow, and you know, this dude started talking to me. And then Dwight Johnson, hey, Mr. C, what's going on, man? How you doing? What's going on down there in Waco? And these were professional athletes that you watch them grow up, and now it comes back. And I'm gonna tell you one thing that you and I did, and we're gonna wrap it up. One of the things that you and I did that a lot of people laughed at, but they didn't know how powerful it was. I think everybody in the jurisdiction knew I was a Maverick fan, and everybody over there was Spur fans, Rocket fans, and we talk all the noise. Yeah. We talked all the noise, showing a side of us that people didn't see. Because if people that know me, they would tell you I was nothing like this in school. I got the most changed guy at the 10-year reunion. I didn't care about folk. I was totally different. That's a God changed me. I didn't have no personality. I just was not that person. The thing that a lot of young people at the church started laughing at me when I got back to church was that Sunday I was the Monday night or Tuesday night I was sitting up there, and then you walked in. You know how slow he be walking because he's smooth and cool, and he walked up there and put that San Antonio Spurs jersey. You remember that? I still have that. All right. And everybody was just laughing. I got back to church, and they said, Pastor, that pastor dog you out there. We were laughing. And it's stuff like that. And then when you got up there and won the Sunday school, he said the Spurs had to win on the road to get the championship. And you know what? The power that united people in sports, because everybody can relate to that. Right. They did went on the road. And just being able to use scenarios like that, because like you said earlier, we didn't know how much sports meant to us till the COVID when they shut everything down.
Right. But I think it teaches you, sports does teach you a work ethic, and we want to teach our young people, if you work hard, you can achieve your goals. When I look back at my years in college, the class that I'm the most proud of was the class I made a C in, because it was one of those classes you only had two tests. Yes. And the first test I made an F
Midterm and final.
I made an F.
That's right.
And I wanted to just drop it and quit. But the teacher believed in me. He says, no, you can pass this class. I say, I gotta make an A to pass this class. I gotta make a C. I gotta have a 2.0. You can do it. You can do it. And I did. So I had to work hard. I had to study, and I stuck with it, and I made a C in that class. But it was a chemistry class. I was so proud. I was so proud because they let me know you can do it, and that helped me prepare me for other classes. But it was the work ethic. So when you believe, coaching. That was coaching. That was she coaching me. She told me you can do. That's coaching, and when we can coach our young people, that even when they're at the lowest, that no, you can do it. You can turn them around. And I'm more proud of that class than classes I made A's in, made hundreds in, because the work, and it showed me you can't really test and what the drive is in a young person.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes you tell a kid they can't go to school because of their SAT score. But there's no test that can really measure the drive that's in a person, but I'm not gonna give up.
And that's right. I was that student that my wife didn't believe me, because she met me at a different time in my life. She said, well, what did you want to be when you grew up? I said, I had no aspirations. I just wanted to get out the house. I wanted to get out the house and get a job. and happened to be able to go to college, junior college. And when I got ready to take electronics, yeah, trigonometry and psychology. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know. And I went to the counselor and they told me, just buy the TI-35 calculator and you will pass this class. I'll make a long story short, I never did think I could pass that class, but I zoomed in and I made an A in trigonometry. And I didn't take algebra, I had fundamentals of math was the last math, because I just go play sports, what's easy? And then the psychology instructor, he said, you don't even take notes, but I'm gonna lecture. He lectured every day. He just talked. And then at the final, I needed that. And this was the last thing that was holding up that 5-year associates. And he had to pass that. And he wrote it on the board. He said, here is the question. And he just put the word why. That's what that was. He put why. And I was like, man, I guess I retake this. I just put why not? Got an A. He say you the only one
Hey,
can do
that's
that.
profound.
But I tell
That's
people,
profound.
just ride it out.
Yeah.
Ride it out. And I want to appreciate y'all. I love y'all. And want you guys to always feel welcome to call in. Sometime I'll be calling you, and something goes on in your area, sports related. Just let me know. I've only had one lady here. You're the second time I've had a lady here, and the young lady was Batman's. Well, I've had 2 ladies here, and they were highly accomplished women. One of them all-time lead scorer at Waco High, and they're just super academically. And we're just proud to have you guys. I want to appreciate all of you from listening, especially all of you San Antonio pastors, Willie Calhoun. They saw Stirrup on there, so they started coming from the, what is that? The 5-1 thing? The 5-1?
210.
The 210. They came to the Izzy. And of course for my girl Stephanie Hendrix, love you guys. And
Totally love you.
appreciate you for listening to The Barbershop on CBS Sports Radio, Central Texas. And you can follow us on Facebook at Centex Sports 1. You can also go to Twitter, hashtag Centex Sports 1, and you can download that app. And thank you for listening today. We got a couple more commercials, but I ain't got but one more thing to say. And I love saying that this time of day. I'm out of here. I got to swap this on the right.
Okay.
Y'all know I get a picture.
That was
Thank you,
That was
Stephanie.
awesome.
Yeah, you
Have
make
never
the show.
done anything like
Really?
it, never.
Yo, this is what your daughter does.
And that's why I'm even
Yeah.
looking at all of this, because
Did you tell her that you were going to
I
be
did.
on?
I was like,
Okay.
I was like, I'm on the radio with Pastor Simpson. I'm on the radio. Yeah, I did. Because as a matter of fact, she's at work right now.
Okay.
She's at work right now.
It's cold in Connecticut, right? What's the temperature?
Well, it vacillates.
Mm-hmm.
Really and truly, it's almost kind of like down here,
Okay.
but it usually tends to be a little.
Yeah,
a little
not like in down.
well, I mean, yeah, like
Yeah.
Houston, but it's a little cooler still.